Hello everyone, you are On Air with Ryan Ayers. On Air is your one-stop shop for the most educated sports opinions on the web. Well, with the NFL draft just winding down moments ago, I want to talk a little bit about the pigskin. First, I want to dial it back to college football and talk about the most overrated Division I head football coach in the nation, and that is Notre Dame's Brian Kelly. Perfect timing today with the NFL draft winding down. Notre Dame just had 7 stud NFL draft picks selected over the weekend, ranging from Ronnie Stanley all the way to Sheldon Day. And included in that mix was injured superstar Jalen Smith. That's 7 big-time now NFL football players on a roster last year for Notre Dame that competed against 3 top 10 teams. You would think you would be able to grab a victory or possibly 2 out of that mix. But with Brian Kelly, once again, another failed year arose. Not one victory against a top 10 team with all that talent. Jalen Smith was not injured until the bowl game. So I want to shout out to the Notre Dame football fans out there and get your reaction. Because I know there's a sect of the fan base from Notre Dame that is highly delusional, possibly the most delusional of all of college athletics. And then there's the realistic side of the fan base. And, you can leave your comments, and I want to hear back from you. What's with Brian Kelly? Why does part of the fan base believe he is the answer? Just because he goes 8-4 every football season or averages 8 wins, 4 losses almost every single football season doesn't make him a great coach. I hear the fact that he's the best guy since Charlie Weiss, Tyrone Willingham, and Bob Davie. What does that mean? That's not saying all that much. Those were 3 of the worst college football coaches in the history of the game. So it's just interesting topic today. As I said, the draft winds down. 7 NFL draft picks, yet over a 2-year span in 2014 and 15, Brian Kelly couldn't bring home 1 big-time football win. He even drops down to the ridiculous. He loses 2 years ago to Northwestern on his home field. All he has to do is take a quarterback kneel in that game in November 2014. Instead, he runs the football the next play. Cam McDaniel fumbles, and you've got Northwestern on the run to tie the game. They do with a field goal and go into overtime and win it from there. Just weeks prior, Brian Kelly had the game at Florida State won. He puts his wide receivers in position to run a pick play, the rub route. They do it completely the opposite way every other team in the NFL and college run it. The refs call them on it, on a game-winning touchdown, and that gets called back. They lose the football game. I mean, games that are propped up for victory. This year it happens again. You have a game totally in your favor with 24 seconds left on the clock. Deshaun Kaiser scores a touchdown to take the lead at Stanford. Notre Dame under Brian Kelly has never won at Stanford. They've never won at Michigan. The big-time opponents they've gone and played down in ACC country, they've lost all those games as well. There's one recurring theme. This all happens under Brian Kelly. Don't get me wrong, he's done an excellent job at player development. But there has to be something wrong with his coaching style, either in-game or his inability to understand when to go for 1 or 2-point conversions. Something holds this team back year in, year out. He's got a 1-8 record on the road or neutral sites against what I call big-time opponents in the top 15. His 1 victory came at Oklahoma in the miracle season of 2012 with a guy in Manti Te'o that just brought his team on his back and was never going to let the guys down that year. But I've put it out there. The proof is in the pudding. And I want to know from both sides of the fan base, like I said earlier. The delusional fan base, I want to hear from you why it's okay to continually go 8-4 every season for the most part. 4 out of 6 seasons have led to 4 or 5 losses. And I want to know from the realist fan base, what can be done in your opinion? Now, I know Notre Dame football has the strongest and biggest fan base in the country, so I want both sides of your reaction. And with that, I'm going to sign off, and I appreciate you for joining me in my first episode of On Air. I am Ryan Ayers, and we will talk to you once again very shortly.